Attitudinal scales are very often used to collect people's comments or attitudes or preferences or level of satisfaction toward a certain issue. So it's very often used. So we need to spend a whole session to discuss about this. And to give you some idea about what can be wrong and what are the issues we need to pay attention to before we can fully master the usefulness of attitudinal scales. Okay, so next. This is our lesson goals for today. Basically, the first one is to learn the functional attitudinal scales and the difficulty in developing ones. Remember, it's not easy to have scales that can be used to collect data for you. So you need to pay a lot of attention. And also, I need to tell you the different types of attitudinal scales. Basically, there are 3 different types, and later you will learn. And also, there's a relationship between attitudinal and measurement scales. So basically, these are everything related to attitudinal scales. Okay? And okay. Let's look at the first one: functions of attitudinal scales. What is used for us? If we want to identify, we want to find out the attitude of the respondents toward an issue. Attitudinal scale is good, okay? And if you want to measure the intensity of respondents' attitude toward the various aspects of a situation or issue, it's good. For example, by the end of the semester, before you are able to choose the courses you want to take for next semester, normally you will be asked to do a survey to evaluate the teacher's performance in the class, right? So that is kind of attitudinal scales too. Okay, and also when we have an attitudinal score, we can use it to combine the different attitudes into different aspects into a one whole indicator. Well, for this, it's a little bit complicated for now for you to understand, because you need to have some idea about factor analysis. Factor analysis. Well, this is a little bit difficult for you for now, but basically, let me give you an idea. Supposedly, we have an attitudinal scale, and there are 20 items in the scale, right? So after you finish answering, after I collect all the data from you, then I can use factor analysis to downsize the 20 questions, 20 items into only 3 or 4 major indicators. Amazing, right? So instead of analyzing 20 different items, I need to only focus on the analysis of the 4 different indicators. Interesting, is that right? So statistical analysis can provide a lot of wonders. It's very difficult to imagine. So it's next time, if you want to know more, then you need to take the course for statistical analysis. Well, we have a course offered for you by next semester, right? Okay? But for now, you just have an idea. Statistical analysis can do a lot of strange things for us. You just don't have no idea. And the beauty here is, you don't need to know how to calculate. You only need to know how to push the button. That's it. Use your finger, push the button. No, use your mouse. Click it. That's it. Very, very simple. Just like the way you are using your Word program or Excel. That's it. So there's no mystery. Don't worry. So don't complain that my math is bad. No, that is not an excuse. Okay, because you don't need to calculate. Okay, the only thing you need to know is to understand why you need to have the procedure. That's it. Just like I say, if you are facing 20 different items, you start to think, should I analyze all the 20 different items? Of course not. Because factor analysis can help you to downsize the 20 into 3 or 4 different indicators. Then why don't you use that? And how are you going to use that? Simple. One click, 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 and there will be a group up there to show you. But do you need to calculate how to turn around the matrix? You know, factor analysis is very difficult to compute. Very difficult. Because there are 20 times the rotation of the matrix all the time. 20 times. And you have to take a look at it, you will die and lie on the floor, you cannot get up. But fortunately, computer is so good, so cool. You just click it and it will come out. Okay? So the beauty is always there. So don't be afraid. And also, when we are using attitudinal scale, we can reduce the risk of an expression of respondents being influenced by their opinions, or only 1 or 2 aspects of that situation, which means that a small group of people may have stronger opinions, right? If they are interviewed, they will talk more. So it seems that their opinions weigh more, right? More influential than the people who don't talk at all. But if you are using attitudinal scales, and then people just fill in the answer and just give it to you. So everyone is equal, equally treated. This is a good thing for attitudinal scales. Okay. And there are 3 problems for developing such attitudinal scales. Basically, there are several considerations. The first one, what are the aspects of a situational issue should be included when seeking to measure an attitude? That's translated in plain English. What are the questions we need to put up there? Let's try to remember. When you do the teacher's evaluations by the end of a semester, right? If you really carefully read through all the questions, you will find out some of the questions are very important. Some are not, right? Some are not. For example, the one that is very important, I think, should be something. Do you feel that you really learned something from this one? Well, that's great, right? Okay. But do you think that teacher will have a very good time management? May not be that quite important, right? May not. Okay. Do you think that the teacher will always get on in the classroom on time? May not be that important. But the very, very important one should be, did you learn something from this? Should be. Is that right? Okay, but we can instantly understand it's very difficult to combine all of these questions together. Some of them are more important, some of them are just marginal, not so important. Okay, and the next one is what kind of procedure should be adopted by combining the different aspects to obtain the overall picture. For one, I just point out we can use factor analysis. Factor analysis, we can, let's say we have 20 different items. With factor analysis, then we are able to downsize it to 3, 4, or 5. It's smaller, okay, with computer statistic analysis. However, sometimes we read our literature, we review the literature, and we know the 20 questions, 5 belong to one factor. The other 5 belong to another factor. So we can simply divide the 5, 5, 5, 5, and the 4 factors, right? So sometimes it's a matter of decision. Do you want to count down the computer to produce the factors for you, or you want to use the literature to produce this for yourself? Well, it's a matter of choice. As a researcher, you have the luxury to make the decision, because everything you do for your research is your own, right? So you have to take the responsibility. And also, the last one is very important. How can one ensure that a scale really is measuring what it is supposed to measure? Just like the teacher's evaluation, right? can we really make sure that the answer, the score for the final score for that really reflect a teacher's teaching performance? Because overall, the student, the school use this with a presumption that the score can reflect a teacher's teaching performance. Is that right? Because they want to survey, they want to collect data to reflect how well a teacher teaches. But do you know that it's not quite. Do you believe that a teacher get the average of 5 points is better than a teacher with 4? That's very difficult to say, right? I always believe that. I always believe in one thing. A teacher gets 5 points, must be something wrong over there. Must be something wrong over there. It's impossible, because it's quite natural as teacher liked by some students, hate by some others. It's quite natural, right? So it's very difficult. So all of this, the last one is about the validity of the research instrument. Validity, what is the meaning for validity? Validity, we ask one important issue, that is this measurement able to collect the data that we like to have or not? For example, if I use a height scale to collect your height, and I want to collect your height, so a height scale is good, it's a valid tool, right? But now, if I want to collect your height, but however I use a weight scale, then the tool is not valid, it is invalid. Although every time I would collect some data back, 65, 60, oh, you are such a short guys over there. No, they are invalid, right? But this is very obvious, but sometimes, when we use attitudinal skills to collect data, it may not that easy for us to judge the validity of the research instrument. May not be that easy. But fortunately for us, next class, next session, I will teach you how to develop a research instrument. How to validly develop your research instrument. It's very important, okay? But not today. Okay, so basically we have 3 different kinds of attitudinal scale. The first one is summative rating scale, like a Likert scale. Likert scale. Have you Have you heard about this very fancy words, right? Everyone knows this Likert scale. It's an ordinal scale. And we have another scale. It's a little bit more advanced, but not necessarily better. Remember, advanced, but not better. It's called Thurstone scale. Thurstone scale emphasizes an equal appearing interval scale. So it is an interval scale, attitudinal scale. The last one is very difficult to develop. We call that as Gutman scale. It is a ratio scale. So basically we have 3 different kinds of attitudinal scales. Likert scale, Thurstone scale, and Gutman scale. For our social science, social study, most scholars use this Likert scale. Good enough. And some, quite a few, use Thurstone scale because they want to show their sophistication of study or research. But very few use Gutman scale. Gutman scale most likely to be used for psychological study. Okay, but just for now, it's good for you to know they have a different measurement scale. Likert is ordinal, just by ranking. And Thurstone emphasizes the interval, so it is an interval scale. And the Gutman scale has a true zero out there, so it is a ratio scale. Okay, so far. So let's go forward for these 3 one by one. So let's see the first one, Likert scale. Likert scale, most of the time when I believe that you have been dispatched a kind of survey by your friends or online, right? Most of them are Likert scale. Ask you to do, and choose 1 to 5. That's it, Likert scale, right? So there's an assumption for this. It emphasizes that each of the statements or items on the scale has equal attitudinal value, importance or weight, in terms of reflecting an attitude towards the issue in question. Just as I say, in your teacher evaluation survey, right? The school assumes each of the questions listed in the survey is equal, is equally important. They share the same value. So that's why they are able to combine the score, give you the average, right? So this is the pre-assumption. But this assumption brings up on the other side is also its limitation. The limitation is that statements on scale seldom have equal attitudinal value. Really, it's very, very difficult to have one. So look here, we need to assume this. But when we assume equal value for each item, we instantly face the dilemma. That is, no items, most of the items in one attitudinal score cannot be equally important. Is that right? So this is the limitation. So Likert scale, it seems that there's nothing good for this. But why do we use this often? Well, it's much easier to create. It's easy to create. Okay, let's see how to create this one. This is a Likert scale style. Basically, when we talk about Likert scale, there are some presumption. There are some precondition for this. Basically, the answers for each of the item should be in odd number, 5 or 7. 5 or 7. This is 7, 7, and this is, see, 7, 6, 5, 1, right? And this is the 5 items. 5 items. And when we use 5 or 7 items, the middle one, do you see this one? The middle one should be neutral. So there's a ranking. If we look at this one, did you see? There's a ranking. Strongly agree is more preferable than agree. Agree is more preferable than uncertain. Neutral, right? Uncertain is more preferable than disagree. Disagree is more favorable than strongly disagree. Although the distance may not be equal, however, the ranking order can be identified. Is that right? Okay. Then, why do we want to have an odd number instead of even number? Why?
It forces you to make. It forces. How do I say?
It's okay, but very simple. It's easy for us to calculate. For example, if we only have 4 items here, right? Then we need to put the number here. For example, this is 4, 3, 2, 1. Is that right? So when we calculate, it will be somewhat difficult. For example, this is 2.5. If you get an average for 2.5, well, lucky for us, it's just in the middle. But how about 2.2? The intensity of 2.2 is a little bit difficult to explain. Is that right? But let's look at another scenario. If we have 5, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the average score, if we have a 3, then we know it's neutral, right? If we have a score for 2.8, okay, we know it's here. We know the specific location of the attitude, right? And when we have a 3.9, oh, it's here. Yeah, it's good. So it's a conventional design for us to understand because it's easy for us to understand and easy for us to analyze. So that's why we use odd number but not even number. The odd number 5 or 7. And then there's another question. Some scholars prefer to use 5 scales. Some others may prefer to use 7 scales. According to statistical analysis, could you imagine what would be the differences between these 2 scales? Anyone has give us some input? What can be the differences between these 2 scales?
Definitely more detailed if you use 7.
This is one idea. Yes, more details with 7 scales. Okay. What others? Well, the truth is there's no too much difference by using 5 or 7. Why is that? Because we count on a large sample size. When we collect, the average will reflect the true attitude of the respondents. Okay? And by using 7 scales has a shortcoming. Look here. If you are asked to make your choice among the 7 scale, what will be your choice most likely? Basically, I believe most of the people would not choose this. Is that right? This is the so-called error of tendency. This will choose, you will feel more comfortable to choose anything in between here. Is that right? You will not choose 7 or 1. Most likely you don't. But you will feel more comfortable to choose this or this if there are only 5 scales. Is that right? So basically, statistically, the results, scholars have used 2 different scales to evaluate the same group of people, and it turns out that the difference between these 2 scales are not significant. So basically, it would be much easier for us to use 5 scales. I know some teachers will ask you to have 7 scales, but not necessary. Not necessary. But if your advisor in the future asks you to have 7 scales, then you do that because she's the boss or he is the boss. Is that right? Okay? But basically, just keep in mind, no difference at all. No difference. And a 7 scale, most of the, sometimes when you face 7 scale, you will be more reluctant to answer. Right? Because you look at this, you feel, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. So you will just randomly choose, okay, fine. You ask me, I give you an answer. Most of the time, you will choose in something in middle. Yes? No way.
So you can put values to the 5 points.
Could you speak louder?
And you put values to the 5 points, like in the sense numbers.
Values in the, oh, yeah, look here, we do have a values here. See, this is strongly agreed.
Yeah, the values in there is numbers.
Yeah, okay, when you code, when you take back the survey questionnaires, you need to code it with the number. So you need to have a code book, 编码簿, code book. And you need to create a code book for coding your data. That's another story.
Because I have seen in some surveys from master degree, the most people is strongly agree. So most likely they put the value between 1 and 5.
Yes.
So where 5 is going to be strongly agreed, if you put 5 will be strongly disagreed.
If you can keep it consistent in your survey, it's okay. 1 or 5, it does not matter. It's just a matter of different formats. Okay, but in a survey, for example, this one, you can put this, that's good enough, right? And if you use a 7 scale just like this, then you have to explain what does this mean. 4 means neutral, and 4 means here, and 7 to 1. What does that mean? You have to explain, so they will understand. But basically, personally, I do not like to use 7 scale because I know people will feel intimidated when facing this kind of answers. Most likely, for me, I know you just randomly choose to fulfill the answers. So this one is more present to the eyes. Is that right? More present to the eyes. Okay, let's take a 10 minutes break and come back. Okay, let's continue to move an explanation of these categorical scales. We have 5-point or 7-point scales, right? And this is the first thing we need to know. We need to keep it in odd number with the central selections with a neutrality value, neutral values of there, okay? And also, the question layout should be simple, direct, and easy to be understood. So basically, you need to ask, for example, this one, the lecturer knows the subject well, then you just put over there. Very simple, very easy, straightforward, plain English, or plain Chinese, or whatever language you want to use. You must make sure that it can be understood by your respondent easily, okay? So basically, the wording, you do not ask the so-called double barrel questions. For example, are you happy with the teacher, and are you always getting into this class on time? So there are 2 questions, right? So you can only put 1 question in 1 item. If you have 2 questions out there, then you commit the error of the so-called double barrel question. 2个筒子，你放2个筒子. So it's different, okay? So now is a good time for you to practice a little bit for this one. Okay, now get your Mentimeter, your smartphone ready, and make sure that the code is here, 4150724. You will have the chance to answer the 10 questions. I will go through them all directly, and after that I will explain what should we know and what should we notice about the layout of the questions. Okay. So did you have that already? Mentimeter? And 4150724. Okay, get ready for the answer. You just think about me, the lecturer is me, okay? So this is about the class. You try and answer it. I will not feel intimidated if you give me a bad score. I just feel sad, but not intimidated. Okay, so do your best, try your best. You will find out it's very interesting. Okay, this is the first one, and hurry up. We have about 40-some students. Okay, the next. Okay, we have all the answers for the 10 questions, and let's go back to number 1. Okay. Okay, the lecturer knows the subject well, so it's very easy to understand the meaning of the sentence, right? So let's see what is the strongly. So strange. Okay, this is the answer. So the lecturer knows, okay? This is the first one, and how about number 2? The lecturer is unenthusiastic about teaching. Did you notice that the direction of the question is different? The first one is a positive statement. The second one is a negative statement, right? So when you design your Likert scale, you have to put your items. Sometimes you have to rotate the different direction. Sometimes positive, sometimes negative. Then what is the purpose of by doing this?
To know that if people are actually answering the questions.
Yes, to make sure that the respondents are careful in answering the questions. At least pay some attention. Okay, may not that well, but at least. Okay, so the lecture about this. I'm trying to. Okay. Disagree. Did you notice the different direction, right? Okay. And let's go to the next one. So the lecturer shows concern for the students is a positive question, right? So we have the answer for this one. So cumbersome. Okay, agree, show concern, not certain, uncertain for this one is good. And that's this one. The lecturer makes unreasonable demands. This is a negative statement. Is that right? So you have to be careful about your choice. So here, most of the students knows the difference, right? Okay, and this one, the lecturer has poor communication skills. It's a poor communication skill, then it is a negative questions too, right? So let's see how well you have done for this one. Strongly disagree. Okay, and this one. The lecturer knows how to teach. And this is the answer for all. Let's say this one, or over here is positive. And the lecturer can explain different concepts in simple terms. And let's see your answer for this one. Agree, disagree. Some students have problem for this. And how about this? The lecturer is hard to approach. What do you think about the statement? What does that mean?
It's negative.
Huh?
It's negative.
Yeah, negative I know, but what does that mean for this one? The lecturer is hard to approach. What does that mean?
Are you talking about literal sense?
I mean the meaning of the sentence.
It means that
Hmm?
you give us a feeling that you're very distinct.
I'm very distinct.
Distant.
This is your understanding. Anyone else?
I would say like, you have to make like an appointment or something like that to see you because it's going to be more like.
So it's very difficult to see me when you are in need to see me. So the meaning for this one actually is the lecturer is hard to approach. It is very difficult to make an appointment to see. Your understanding is true, your understanding is wrong. So look here. Here comes an issue. Basically, we all know the meaning of each word. But when they combine together, it becomes a little bit confusing out there, right? So basically, there are a lot of meaning, but the correct meaning is just Devon said. It is true. The lecturer is very difficult to approach. It's hard to approach, but that is very difficult to see him in person. by email, by telephone, or knocking on the door, Daniel is not there. Okay? So now, you have a real understanding about this, right? So will you do make a different choice for this one? Let's try again. Can you do can you make selection again? No? Not at all? Okay, maybe I need to clear it out.
No.
How about this? Can you do that? No? Okay. So it is very confusing. Look here, maybe we should take a picture about this. I need. It's amazing to have this kind of distribution. This is so-called normal distribution, 正常分配. Very cool. I've never seen this before. Okay, great. Okay, but anyway, if we cannot do this again, but still we can have some idea. That is, it's very important to design the question item. So that's why it's very important for you to have a test, the so-called trial test. That you have to have a small group of people to work on the questionnaire. To ask them, you need to ask them, do you understand the question just as I want you to understand? Is that right? So if there's a trial test of the survey questionnaires before, then this one maybe needs some revision. For example, you can write it. The lecture is very difficult to make an appointment. Or to see the lecture is very difficult. Then that would be much easier for you to understand, right? Okay, let's continue with this one. The lecture is liked by some students and not by others. What do you think this is a positive or negative question? Neutral question? Basically, this is not a good question. This is a double barrel question. Because ask the two concepts, right? Ask the two concepts. Maybe the lecturer is liked but not hate, or is not liked but it's very difficult to identify the real meaning of this. Although this is true, it's a reality for a real teacher's life, right? But it's very difficult. So if you want to really ask this, you can use the lecture is liked by some students. The other question, the lecture is disliked by some other students. You need to use two questions. So this is a very standard form of a so-called double barrel question. Very difficult to answer. When you see this one, the most likely you will choose uncertain, I think. Let's see whether you have the correct one. See, over here, right? So, this shows a story. That is, this question does not have the power of discrimination. Which means that there's no use to put this question here. Because all the answer you get is just 3 in the middle. Then why do you want to collect the answer? And you know that the answers will be this. So if the question item has no power for discrimination, no power to determine the real effect, then you can just take it away. Take it away, right? Okay, because it's very difficult to answer. And how about this one? The lecture is difficult to get along with. This is your understanding about the teacher is very distant. But very cool, very cold, not very cool, cold. Cold heart. Don't care about you, right? So let's see, okay, so disagree. And it's kind of very difficult to get along with. Okay, I am very difficult to get along with. Really? I could be humorous. Okay, I can tell you a lot of jokes if necessary. Oh, come on, this is very insulting. But anyway, as I promised, I will not feel intimidated. Only, really, 3 and 8. That's amazing. Okay, next, let's get by this. So let's think about how to produce a Likert scale. There are some procedures for you. These are basically, let's keep in mind, these are the general approach for designing a Likert scale. But there will be a higher level of skills you need to know, which I will teach you next time in next session. But for this, it's a common sense. Let's have some common sense first. The first one is you need to assemble or construct statements that are reflected to the attitudes toward the main issue in questions. And you have to keep in mind, you must include positive and negative attitude statements. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative, right? Okay. And you need to have, once you assemble those questions together, you need to have a trial test. It's very important to avoid confusion. So you need to administer to a small group of people. For example, if I want to investigate Windsor student perceptions toward environmental protection, right? Then what should I do? I cannot just print out all the copy questionnaires and distribute to all the respondents. No, I don't do this. I will invite a small group of Windsor students to take the trial to see whether they can really understand the meaning of each item and try to take a weight. So you have to analyze the responses by assigning a weighting. A numeral value top the responses. And you have to calculate each respondent attitudinal scale and compare them and eliminate non-discriminative items. So previously we have done 10 questions, right? So if you have a trial test, you will understand some of them are not be able to discriminate. They are non-discriminative items. So you need to take away, because you put up there, it just wastes over the space. As I emphasize, normally you will only take a very, very few minutes you are waiting to answer for one question, right? Questionnaire. So 3 minutes at most, I think, for most people, 3 to 5, right? So that's only 4 pages. So your space for your questionnaires are very variables. So don't waste that. Then after that, you can construct a questionnaire interview scale comprising the selected statements of the items. So basically the process is very easy. First one, find out the statements you want to ask and make sure that they are positive and negative attitudinal statements. And you need to have a trial to a small group of people, and you calculate and then you excluded the non-discriminate value items. And once you have the string out the items you want to keep, you can use them to construct a questionnaire. So you can use very simple and easy, right? Okay.
I think for trial, we can also, like for example, just now we had an ambiguous word, so you can take that time to change to it.
Yes, there's another way. Some of the time you believe that if you believe this is a very important issue and it has caused some confusion, then you need to revise it. Try to reword it and make it understandable by your respondents. So you can discuss. The trial test, the benefits for trial test is it allows you to talk to respondents. Because once you print out 1,000 copies out there, there's no way for you to change it, right? Because money is there. Money is there, right? It's out. So you don't want to do that. Okay. And now let's talk about calculation. Well, here, I only give you a very, very small idea. You don't really need to do the calculation. But when you code your data, you need to know how to assign them a real correct number. Okay. For example, strongly agree. This is the something we need to do. Strongly agree, agree, uncertain, disagree, strongly disagree, right? So basically, if this is a positive question, we assign them 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is that right? And since this is a negative statement, we change the order. We use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We change the number. So when you code, you need to know this. Don't assign them with all 5 for this one. If you assign them for all 5, then your analysis will be very, very misleading. Okay, be careful for this one. So you need to change the number. You need to change the number. Okay, agree? Okay, so this is something you need to know. So what about this? Know how to teach? What will be the score you would like to assign? Of course, should be 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And how about this? It's hard to approach. Then that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? Okay, now let me ask you one question. If for this one, the lecture can explain difficult concept in simple term, and I choose answer this one. So what would be the score for this one? What would be the code number for this one?
5, 4, 3, 2.
No, how about this? What would be, if you see the answer is here, right? And in your computer, what number you want to put in? That should be 4. Is that right? For this one, okay? And now this one is difficult to get along with. Now I'm asked, if I choose this one, so what would be the number you put into your computer? 1. Okay? If you know this, that is good enough. Okay? Good idea? Okay, that's good. No problem for this? Because in the next semester you will learn how to edit and code. And this is a very basic idea for you. You need to know the directions of your coding. Or otherwise, your numbers will be very strange. Okay? And we can skip to this one. Okay, now it's a real test for you. Please tell me, what is the respondent A's average score? Come on, do your math. Okay, now I try to do something more interesting for you. Let's see what I can do. Oh, right. Uh-huh. Okay, now it's for you to answer. provide your answer over there. Let's see. Average score, not a complete score. Average score. But it's okay. I know 43 is 4.3. 5. Oops. First, you have to identify the value, the number value for each item. Then you just add it up. Okay, we still have 15 students to go. Hurry up. Provide your answers as soon as possible. Okay, let's save the time. As you can see from the word crowd, most students choose 42, 43. Let's see the real answer for this one. Okay. So let's try to give them assign a number for each, assign a value for each of this one. So know the subject well, and we know it's this is 5, right? Oops. And this is 5. Oops. Oh, it's so difficult. 5 for this one. And how about this one? Is unenthusiastic about teaching, is a negative. Strongly disagree, should be 5. Is that right? And this one, show concerns for students, neutral value is 3. And make unreasonable demands, strongly disagree is 5. 5 again, right? And the other one is make communication poorly is a negative question, so it's 5 again. And knows how to teach, agree is 4. Can explain different concept in simple terms is 5. Okay? And it's hard to approach. Hard to approach is a negative question, but it's still in the neutral 3, right? And is liked by some students and not others. See? It's positive and negative, then what kind of score we need to put? Become very difficult, right? So this is the confusion part. Let's say this is a negative. Negative. So look here. If this is negative, this is 4. Is that right? Okay. It's difficult to get along with this is negative and this is 5. So if you combine all of this together, 5, how much for this one? It's 44. Is that right? It's 44. Okay, so the average score for the scale is 4.4. The lecturer gets 4.4 for this one in average. Okay, just as a teaser for you, and that's it. We don't need to do the second one because it takes time. But the idea is for you just get some ideas for how to calculate it. But in reality, you don't have to calculate. You need to code it. You need to identify the number value for each of the items. Okay? So let's look here. Third-stone scale. We still remember that when we create Likert scale, we assume that each of the items in the Likert scales has equal value, equal importance. Is that right? But in reality, is that true? No, of course not. Right. So this is the shortcoming for Likert scale. So the development of the development of the third-stone scale is to remedy the shortcoming of the Likert scales. It seems reasonable. Is that right? So because Likert scale has its own shortcomings. So a third-stone scale try to remedy it, try to assign a weight or some values, some weights or some values to each of the items. Give them different weights. So here, how to remedy this kind of shortcomings. In developing a third-stone scale, we need to have judges. Judges are included to assign the weight of attitudinal scale of each item. So basically, you invite a judge. They are supposed to be expert in this field. So you invite the judge, and you depend on the judge's subjective judgment because you rely on their subjectivity. So basically, it's very difficult to construct. Because imagine this, who are the judges you want to invite? Let's talk about, if I want to develop let's say, students' attitude toward teaching. Okay, I don't want to use Likert scale. I try to develop a third-stone scale because I criticize the items on the teacher's evaluation form are not really equal. Do not really share equal values, right? So I want to remedy this problem. So now I want to invite judges. Okay? Who are the people qualified to be invited? Well, there are a lot of arguments about this, right? Okay? Should I invite educational experts? Well, sure, right? Parents were saying, well, we are the shareholders too, we are stakeholders too, so we need to be invited. Okay. And school administrators say that because we are part of the system, we need to be invited. But wait, students will complain, hey, we are the person to make the answers, right? So we need to be invited. And other faculty member will also complain, hey, it related to my, this is part of my job, I need to be invited too. So you can imagine the list can only be extended, right? But the problem here, all of the judges, even though you can finally figure out a list to invite, there are still not imperfection. There are still always problems out there, right? Always problems. So the judges, we invite the judges, try to help out the problems of the equal value of each item. We try to give them some weight. But in the meantime, we invite judges to come along, to unbold and to give the values. It's very difficult to have a universal understanding or agreement on which value should be the best. Is that right? So basically, when we try to remedy the shortcoming of Likert scale, on the other hand, we may have created more problems. We may have already created more problems. So third stone scale is difficult to construct, but not necessarily better than Likert scale. Not necessarily. Okay? So, however, we still need to know how to construct it. This is procedures. Procedures that will, okay, basically we have statements. We create a statements, right? It is the same as we try to construct a Likert scale. And we select the panel of judges or experts in this field. As I say, in this field. My goodness. In this field. In political science, it can be more complicated. Because if you are claiming yourself as a political scientist, we know politics are very closely related to ideology. Is that right? So if you look at Taiwan or look at that in the United States, Democrats hate Republicans. Republicans hate Democrats. So who can be invited? Under Trump's administration, no Democrats will be invited. The half of the boys is just come. So you can imagine this. Very, very difficult, right? Okay, so in this field. But we still try. We try. Then, so supposedly we are so lucky to invite a group of objective judges. They are so open-minded, they are objective in their decision. So we can ask the judge to rate each statement on an 11-point scale. 11-point scale. And we can calculate the median value of the judge's rating for each item. Okay, here, what is the median? What is the definition for median? We have several words related to this. For example, we have a mean, we have a median, we have a mode. These are three terms related to almost the same thing, but not the same thing. So what does that mean? Mean, median, mode.
Median is like, for example, if we use example from the 7 points Likert scale, the median is like 4 because it's the middle number. Right?
Okay.
Whereas mean refers to something like average.
Mean is the average. Median is the central point of all the answers. For example, median. If we have we have several answers. Okay, 1, 5, 5, 7, 9. And so what would be the median for this one? The median is the central point of all the answers. It would be 5. 5, okay? But it is a little bit different from the average. So what is the mean of this one? We have 27 divided by 5, right? So the mean for this one is 5.4. Okay? So mean is average. Median means the central value of all the answers. Central. Sometimes it may be several, but in the middle. Okay? And what is the mode? The most frequently numbers. So it's still 5. We have a 2 5, so there is more 5. Okay, it's a little bit confusing, but it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to worry about this until next semester. But you have to know they are different. So now we are looking at the median values, right? For example, we have 7 judges. Give it 1 to 11 points. So let's say 7 judges. The first one give it 10 points, 9, 9, and 10, and 5. So what would be the median value for this one? It should be 9, right? Okay. So that's the idea. It's not mean, it's a median. So you calculate the median value or judge's rating for each item. So this one should be given 9 point. And discard statements or scattered rating. Sometimes, for example, you have 1 to 11. One judge give it 1 point. The other one give it 11. 5, 7, 9, 3, 2. Well, it seems that they do not have the consensus about the weighting for this one, right? Then you have to discard, take it away, because there are a lot of confusions out there. Take it away. So you have the remaining statements. So you select a best one, you keep it, and you can construct a questionnaire. That's it. So the procedure for constructing a Thurston scale is by adding in a group of panel or judge or experts. That's it. But as I say, it can be more confusing. It can be more confusing because the people you invite to sit in the panel may not be agreed upon by all the experts in the field, right? In the field. So that is the problem. So don't think that, don't judge by the name of the scale. When you try to create a Thurston scale, most of the time you create more problems for yourself. And it costs more money too. See, if you want to invite a group of experts, do you need to pay them money to attend your meeting? Yes, you need. You have to, right? So it will be much easier for you just sitting in the room and in front of the computer create your own Likert scale. Money saving exercise. Is that right? So remember, that is why Likert scale is often used by scholars. Often of the time that scholars do not have too much money. We are poor. We do not have resources, right? Unlike those governments, they have a lot of money to fund their own project, but we don't have. So Likert scale is good enough. But Thurston scale still, sometimes some scholars with their specific purpose, they still use it. They will. But for you, you could need to understand how to construct it. Okay? The last one is Guttman scale. Guttman scale is very, very difficult to construct. This is a hypothetical. This one. What is Guttman scale? We said that we need to create a true zero, absolute zero out there, right? Okay. So it's very difficult to construct in this way. Instead of explain the context of the slide, let's go to the next slide. You understand a bit. Let's try to see this one. Okay, this is one of the examples. Okay, now I open floor for you to answer for this one. Okay, so imagine this. Now you are asked the 5 questions here, right? So are you willing to permit immigrants to live in your country? Are you willing to permit immigrants to live in your country? And number 5, would you permit your child to marry an immigrant? Did you see this one? You make a choice to the extent you will agree. For example, if you agree 4, then you should be agree 1, 2, 3. Is that right? So please give us your answers.
Well, 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah. Not yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not yes. My goodness. Not no. Just give me 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5. Yeah, we have a 5 choices here, right? So please give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suppose you are surveyed for the question. Ask you how you like. What would be the extent of your permission to do this? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hurry up. No, yes, no, my goodness. No.
We cannot receive.
Huh?
We cannot receive.
You cannot resubmit.
Yeah.
Okay, try again. How about this? Can you?
No.
No? Why is that? Can you? Này này. 有啊，可以啊。Hurry up. Yeah, 13 will see some other students. Okay, the voting is over, and let's see this one. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Why is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? My goodness. But anyway, this is the answer for this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It means that more people choose 2, and some of them choose 5, 3, 4, and 1. No yes, and they just discard it. That's just okay. Let's see. This is very interesting, and I will explain how it is interesting after we take the break. Let's come back at 15 after 11, okay? 10 minutes break. Okay, let's see this one. We say that Gottman scale is very difficult to construct because it assumes one thing, that is, if you answer, let's say this one, if you answer 3, then you should be able to agree to 1 and 2, right? So, for example, if you are willing to permit immigrants to live in your neighborhood, then you should be able to agree, live in your country, live in your community. Is that right? Should be able to do this. If you are able to agree to number 4, then you should be you permit immigrants to live next door to you. Then in your country, in your community, in your neighborhood should be no problem. Is that right? So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4. But number 5 is a little bit difficult. Would you permit your child to marry an immigrant? Yes. Yes. If I answer yes, but it does not apply saying that they can live next door to me. Is that right? Do you agree? Yeah, go away and get married. Don't come back. Maybe. So you would think the construction of here, there's no guarantee that you agree to 5, then you will agree 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see, when the author wrote out the different level of questions, he assumes if you agree your child to marry an immigrant, then you should be able to agree to the 1, 2, 3, 4 statements, right? But in reality, not like that. Maybe not, right? So imagine this. This is very Very difficult to construct. Sometimes as a researcher, you thought it should be logical. But for the readers, they may not think in the same way. So you can see it's very difficult, right? So although we agree, agreement with item 3 implies agreement with 1 and 2. But if you agree, number 5 may not be able for agreement for 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? So still, it's very difficult. Okay? So that's why we can go back to look here. This kind of question is a unidimensional set of items. That is one direction, starting from the easier one to the most difficult ones. So with different level, okay? So you can see that there's a 0 up there. If you don't agree everything, then you have a 0 point of attitude on this. So basically, they are ranked in order of difficulty from the least extreme to the most extreme position. So you can, as you can see for here. So for example, if a person scoring a 7 on a 10-item Gottman scale, then he should be able to agree with items 1 to 7, but not 8, 9, 10. Is that right? Okay? Theoretically. Okay? So, but the problem is, we can see from here, it's not, although it seems logical for this one, but it may not stand true for number 5, right? So still, so one word of advice for you, if it is not necessary, don't try this. You will provoke more objections than agreement sometimes. You will confuse all yourself. So unless it's very, very necessary, it can only use this to collect valid data for your research questions. Try not to use this because it takes space. So that is why we develop Gottman scale most likely for psychological study. Because psychological study, you can just sit in front of the patient or the respondent, let's talk. So there's a scale for you, could you do this? So let's evaluate your mental status. So there's a strong desire to answer, that would be fine. But for general survey, well, it's very, very seldom used. For general survey, seldom used. Okay. Okay, that's about all for today. And that's a reminder. So happy? Yeah, thank you very much. Reading 9, establishing the validity and reliability of a research instrument. And we have prepared for the quiz 8. And there's a research portfolio for you though. And this is the research portfolio. You have to add in to think over your research problem. I want you to write out your research problem in a form of research topic. Okay? So it's not a question, it's a phrase. A phrase, for example, with our students' perceptions toward environmental protection. This is a phrase, right? It's not a research purpose. Something like the purpose of the study is to investigate with our students' perception toward environmental protection. No, I want you to put a research topic only and write it out clearly. Write it out clearly. Okay, can you do that? And ask yourself, is it qualitative or quantitative? Is your research topic qualitative or quantitative? And explain why. This one is very important because I need to examine, to take a very, very close look at your research topic and give you a sound advice about what kind of courses you need to take for the next semester. It's very important. So you need to think very, very carefully about the research topic. Okay? Research topic is very important. So remember research topic only. And look at your research topic, you have to identify whether it is qualitative or quantitative, or something in between we call mixed approach. Yeah, sometimes you will do this. It's okay. Because most of the studies are mixed. You will use survey, and in the meantime you will use interview. Is that right? And maybe you will collect the documents from the government. Maybe. So it's mixed. It's okay. Okay, and then you have to explain why. And remember, in your research topic, you need to clearly identify your study issue and your study population, and possibly with your data collection method. Okay? But even without this, you should be identifiable by the combination of these two to identify your research methods. It should be. Or otherwise it will be very strange. Okay? So put that word very, very carefully, because I only need your research topic to tell the nature of your study. Okay? So think about this very, very carefully. Any question? Okay, now, before you can go, of course you can go later now before 12. I will sit here before 12 o'clock. If you have any concern about your research topic, you can come to talk to me. And you can figure it on site so that you can have a good one for yourself. Okay? So when you approach me, the teacher is hard to approach. It's very easy to approach. Just come on. But you need to write out your research topic first. Present your research topic for me, before me, then we can discuss. Okay? Don't come to me and say, hey, how can I do for my research? Don't do that. You need to have a research topic so that we can talk. Okay, so from now, we have 35 minutes for discussion. So please come.